All right, so let's take a closer look at the X-am 3500 and the X-am 8000. As you can tell, they're very similar. This one has a belt clip on the back of it, so that's why it looks like it's propped up a bit. This one does not. But the instrument platforms are nearly identical, and it doesn't really say 3500 or 8000 on the face. You'd flip that over, and that's where you would see the model number. But the other telltale sign is this reflective sticker that's on the 8000, and the 8000 also comes with this little note area and a place where you can attach a shoulder strap. So kind of a neat feature that you automatically get with the X-am 8000. And then on this little note section, you could write down who it's assigned to that day, or that it's been bump checked. And I believe that this is an area where you can make a note, wipe it out, and then make a note the next day. Again, this is the 4-gas platform, and very simply, you just push and hold the middle button to turn on the unit, and then once that countdown is complete, it's going to go through a quick warm-up sequence. Now, this is a new meter out of our inventory, so it still has the screen protector over the display, but you can see the full color display here. It's running through all the sensors that are installed, showing me what my alarm points are. It's got a clock on it, of course, a battery indicator. You'll have your menu functions at the bottom. This is another big difference on the new series. I'll go ahead and grab the older one real quick. You'll notice the X-am 2500 and 5000 only had 2 buttons. And the new series, the X-am 3500, has 3 buttons. And so the buttons line up with these soft keys at the bottom of the display. And so I'm going to run through those and show you what those do. You've got the LEDs on the side and across the top. On the back, again, no contact points. It's inductive charging. This one happens to have a alligator clip, belt clip on there, so you could clip that to a belt, or you could add a carabiner to the top to clip that to a radio strap, if you will. And then you've got your sensor ports, you've got your pump area, and then this is where the sound comes out of the instrument. So let's look at basic operation of the unit. So again, I talked about how this is a 4-gas meter. I'm seeing all 4 gases simultaneously. And what's really cool about it is it actually has this zoom function. So notice how it lines up with the little magnifying glass with the plus sign in the middle. By pushing that button, I now get to zoom into the individual channels. So again, if I'm looking through a full face mask, or I'm in a level A suit and I'm having a little trouble reading those small characters, I could use this zoom in function, and then my up and down buttons will scroll through the different channels or the different sensors that are installed in my unit. Once I've seen what I need to see, that is now a magnifying glass with a minus sign. If I press that again, I go back to seeing all the information on one screen. So when I press menu, it's asking me, do you want to enter the menu? Now, if I don't touch anything here for a second, it's going to go back to the normal gas display. But if I do want to enter the menu, I would hit OK. And now I have choices. This would take me back to my monitoring screen. This, of course, is my information screen. So we'll down arrow and then hit OK. And then you can see that I have a messages menu, device information, gas statistics, intervals, battery, capture ranges. There's quite a few choices that I can make on this instrument. And then when I'm done doing what I'm doing, I just hit the back button. But I want to show you something real quick. Notice this little icon at the top with the triangle and the exclamation point. It's given me a message. So to see what the messages are, I just drop down to this message menu, hit OK, and then it's going to go through and tell me what the messages are. So again, this came out of our inventory, and this is just telling me that, hey, I have not been bump tested in a while. And so I can use my up and down buttons to toggle through to see if there's more messages. And of course, my CO sensor's telling me it hasn't been bump tested. My methane sensor, my catalytic bead sensor hasn't been bump tested. And of course, my oxygen sensor hasn't been bump tested. So it's nice that it is giving me an explanation of each of those warnings or alarms, if you will, reminders that I need to go through and bump test my sensors. Then when you're done, you just hit OK. I'm going to use the up arrow to go back and then hit OK. and then I could return to monitoring, or I can drop down to this maintenance menu. Let's go ahead and check this one out. So the maintenance function before you log in is very simple. I can do a fresh air cal, or I can do a signal test. If I go back, I want to show you that you can actually log in and you're going to get more maintenance features. So let me toggle down to login, hit OK, and then I'll enter a preset password. So the password to get into the full menus is 0001. So 000, and then when I get to the final digit, up 1 for the 1, hit enter, and now when I drop down to my maintenance menu, I have more choices. So now I can run a bump test, a fresh air cal, a single gas cal, a mixed gas cal, and I can still do a signal test. So you get more features once you're logged into the menus, and that's just a way to keep people that have not read the book yet from getting into the menus and changing settings on your instrument. Once you've made those changes, you can even log out, and then outside of switching the meter off manually, you also have a switch off menu. So let's go back up to monitoring, hit OK, and then you can tell I'm back to my regular run screen. Finally is your star menu, which is just your quick access menu. And I like this because now you don't have to enter the menus to get into all the functions. You can just jump right in and pick some quick menu selections. So you could go to device information. Here's a really cool feature. Check this one out. This one's called night mode. So let's say you're working second shift or third shift. This bright screen is upsetting your night vision. You could hit night mode, hit OK. It says switch to night mode. I'm going to say OK. And now it flips the screen so that it's a dark background with white letters. Really neat that they put that in there, just to be able to appeal to a lot of different customers in different situations. And then, as I mentioned before, there's a shutdown menu or a switch off menu, but the other way you can switch off the meter is just to push and hold both blue buttons and then just hold those through the countdown. And now the meter will switch off. This screen will actually stay here for a second while the meter powers down all the way. The same pump cap could be applied to this instrument to make it a pumped unit. But let's go ahead and turn on this unit and show you a couple of extra features with the X-am 8000. Again, this unit has 5 sensor positions, and with some of the dual purpose sensors, that gives us the ability to read between 1 and 7 gas displays on the screen all at one time. And again, with that zoom in function, even though I have 7 different sensor listings, I can use that zoom in function to go through each channel individually. Gives me a larger font to look at. Just going through the warm-up sequence, telling me what my alarm thresholds are set to. And then when you see this yellow block at the top, that is Draeger's way of showing you that some of the sensors are still warming up. So we'll want to make sure that that is done doing its countdown before I go out and use the instrument out in the plant site. But you'll notice that I'm in monitoring mode. There are some messages, so let's go check our messages. So you hit the menu button, enter menu, OK. And then we would drop down to the information menu, OK. And there's my messages window. So let's check and see what that one says. And once again, one of my inventory units, and it's telling me that I need to bump test this unit. Very normal for an instrument that's just been sitting on the shelf. Of course, at Allsafe Industries, we test all of our instruments before they're shipped out to our customers. And again, I can just scroll through all those messages, and as you would expect, all 5 sensors should be bump tested, which is normal. You should always bump test, by the way. You should bump test or bump check, whatever you want to call it, before each day's use. That doesn't mean every day, that just means before each day's use. And we have a lot of solutions here at Allsafe Industries to help you do that. So very similar, again, you're going to see some of the same menus, but let me show you some of the different features that you get on the X-am 8000. So once again, we talked about some of the smart assistants, or the wizards, if you will. So one of the things I really like about the X-am 8000 is this confined space wizard. So if I drop down to confined space and I hit OK, it's going to ask me if I'm using a probe or if I'm using a set amount of tubing. And so let's say I'm using 30 feet of tubing today. I would drop down to the 30 foot of tubing, I would hit OK, and this is cool, it's warning me, hey, you haven't attached your pump yet, so obviously I need to bring my pump over, my pump cap, and then screw that into place. And as always, when you attach the pump cap, it wants me to do a flow test just to make sure the pump is working correctly. So I'm just going to block the inlet. That passed. It told me to unblock the inlet. Hose and probe OK. Start measurement. So now it's saying probe in place. I'm going to hit OK. And this is going to give me a countdown to make sure that I'm getting the sample out of the confined space to the sensors in the instrument. So this is a really cool feature. Usually when we train new customers on their gas detection, we tell them to manually in their head add about a second for every foot of tubing. But the Draeger X-am 8000 has this smart assist that will help you with that countdown timer. So again, if I've added 30 foot of tubing, it's going to ask me to wait for 60 seconds to make sure that the atmosphere in the confined space works its way all the way through the tubing and then up to the sensors in the instrument. And now you can see the readings that I would be getting. Again, if I had tubing down in my confined space, I know the readings that I'm getting here on my screen are the samples that are coming from wherever I am in the confined space. And then once I'm doing this Smart Assist, I just hit the X button, and then that will stop the application. I'll say OK, and then it's asking me if I want to do another measurement, or I can say nope, I'm done doing that, and then go back into the menus. So let's back out of here by hitting the monitoring button. We'll hit OK. So another feature for the X-am 8000 is it does have Bluetooth capability. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my cell phone over here so I can show you how this works. So I have a whole folder of safety apps here. I go to the app called Dräger CSE Connect. You can download this in the iTunes Store or on the Play Store for Google Android. It says, welcome, please connect your CSE Connect version. The Lite version is free. The Pro version does more, but there's a fee for that version of this app. So we're going to play around with the Lite version. So the first thing I'll want to do is pair to the instrument. You can see it automatically found my X-am 8000, and it's referencing the serial number of the instrument. So I'm going to tap that, and then it's going to connect. And then notice my Bluetooth icon on the instrument now has dots on either side. That designates that my meter is now paired with my phone. So now I'm going to go back to the main menu screen. I can go into this measurement menu, and you can see that I'm getting real-time readings on my app matched up with what's showing on my instrument. So I'm going to take my purple Sharpie, and I'm going to give myself a quick little PID alarm here. And then notice how I'm getting the same readings over here on my phone. Reason I had to press the button is I got to the second stage alarm. The first stage alarm will clear itself. The second stage alarm, you have to press a button to acknowledge that. So I just had that report kicked over to my phone in real time. So imagine that was a confined space entry. I ventilated, my confined space is good now. I'm ready to do my entry, but I need to send this to my safety manager so I can accept, save and send. It's going to ask me how it wants to save it. I picked email. I'm going to email it to myself. Send. Email has been sent. So I'll give it just a second, then flip back over to my email. And there's the report that I just got from Draeger CSE Connect with the readings that you saw on screen of the instrument. Really cool feature that I can Bluetooth to my phone and then send those reports to whoever I'd like to send them to. So I want to show you a couple of more features with the X-am 8000. So I'm actually going to log in this time, and that's going to open up more menu options. So remember, the password is 00001. So when I get to the last digit, I'll use the plus key to raise that up. enter. And now you can see those other smart assistants that I mentioned. So if I use my down arrow, there's the confined space assistant that we just saw. There's the leak search assistant. And then for benzene direct measurements, the benzene pre-tube. And once again, if you enter that assistant, it's going to run you through several steps. And you can even see an icon at the top that's showing me what I need to do. So obviously I would fresh air cal. At some point it's going to ask me to insert the benzene pre-tube, and then I'll be on my way to taking those measurements. I'm going to go ahead and X out of this. It actually has the ability to do a benzene tube or a humidity tube. We'll select benzene, and then it's asking me if my pre-tube is connected, and of course I would add that and then be able to take that measurement. I'm going to X out of that, and now I'm back to my main menu. You also have the ability to switch the gases on the PID channel. So if you're familiar with correction factors, the X-am 8000 has a built-in correction factor menu. So if I say OK to that, it's asking me which sensor I want to change. It would be my PID sensor. And then you have, I don't know how many it is, but several choices with some abbreviations. So you'll have to know those abbreviations, but I'm sure you know these. You can pull this information off many different apps. There's isobutylene, so if I were to select that, it says please wait. And now my PID is set to the correction factor for isobutylene, which is also my calibration gas. So again, lots of things I can do in the menus. And then finally, I will toggle down to switch off. And if I hit OK to that, it's asking me, do you want to switch off the device? Notice it's moved over to this selection now, just to make sure I don't accidentally turn it off if I don't mean to. And now it's going to switch off the instrument. And this is the X-am 8000. So again, I want to thank you for your time and attention to watch this video. Really appreciate it. Today we got to learn a little more about the new 4-gas meter, the X-am 3500, and the multi-gas platform, the X-am 8000 from Draeger. As always, we encourage you to check out our website, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or like us on Facebook.